Micah, play the clip, please.
Good evening, my dear friends. Thank you for joining me once again for another episode of True Crime Jesus. It's been a very interesting few weeks on YouTube. The $100,000 reward increase compelled me to investigate some of the religious overtones of the Delphi murders. Law enforcement press conferences, Doug Carter's reference to the shack. A quick warning for our more sensitive viewers. Some of the topics being discussed in this video may be disturbing. Viewer discretion strongly advised. So, without any further ado, this isn't the first time we've heard religion mentioned in this case. Two different people connected to this case have publicly mentioned the shack. In an interview a year prior to the press conference, Liberty's sister Kelsey references the shack when asked what she would want to happen to the murderer he has caught.
Have you seen the shack?
Kelsey saw the movie at her church youth group. Kelsey then told Doug Carter to watch The Shack.
I recently watched a movie called The Shack. And there's also a book that talks so well about evil, about death, and about eternity.
No, it's about forgiveness and faith. He doesn't say those words. He says evil, death, and eternity. And he mentions the movie, but then he says, and there's a book. Now that's interesting. I don't think the book he's talking about is The Shack. I think he's talking about the book, the Bible. And he is really trying to appeal. I think this is a church-going person in the community who believes on the surface, has faith, but struggles deeply with his identity, maybe his sexual proclivities, his sexual preferences that are out of sync with his religion.
Press conferences are done strictly to dispense information to the public. For Superintendent Carter to randomly mention a popular Christian movie seems completely inappropriate. There had to be a reason he did this. About an hour before this press conference, law enforcement distributed a transcript to news outlets of Doug's upcoming speech. This is not uncommon. This is so the media can accurately repeat what is said in their reporting. In the transcript, there was no mention of the shack anywhere. The Shack is written by Canadian author William Paul Young. It's a religious-themed story based on the 2007 novel of the same name. In The Shack, Mackenzie Phillips, the father in the story, grieves after his 6-year-old daughter, Missy, is abducted from their campsite during a family camping trip to Wallowa Lake near Joseph, Oregon. While saving his other 2 children from drowning after their canoe flips, his daughter Missy is kidnapped by a serial killer known as the Little Lady Killer. Police locate an abandoned shack in the woods where Missy had been taken. Missy's bloody red dress is found there, but her body is never located. Mac sinks into a deep depression. Author William Young describes the shack as a metaphor for the house you build out of your own pain. In other words, it represents the places you get stuck, the places where you get hurt and the places where you get damaged. It's the place where shame and hurt are centered within you. The killer's signature in this story is to leave a ladybug pin at the scene of each girl's abduction. A ladybug pin was found stuck into Missy's coloring book, found at their campsite where she was last seen. Wonder if Bridge Guy left something similar at the Delphi crime scene. The Delphi murders crime scene was located in a forested valley, just feet away from Deer Creek. Abby and Libby were found within a circle of trees there. Trees represent physical and spiritual nourishment, transformation, as well as union and fertility. They are also powerful symbols of growth and resurrection, and the circle of life. In the shack, trees are used as a motif to acknowledge and help those with who feel they are in conflict with God or religion because of trauma in their lives. The main theme of the shack is religion. And that, my dear friends, is the common denominator in this case. The Delphi murders have many religious overtones and symbolism. In David Erskine's leaked text messages, he mentions Abby's hands being folded beneath her chin on her chest. Was this to make it look as if she were praying? Bridges are thought to represent a connection between this world and the afterlife. Crossing a bridge can represent crossing over into the afterlife. It was recently stated publicly by Lee Kerr, aka Scott Anderson, aka Jordan McCoy, aka Leaker, that Bridge Guy had washed the girl's feet at the crime scene. If you don't know what I'm talking about, please go back and watch my last video. In the Bible, foot washing signifies continual cleansing from the sins acquired after baptism through life in a sinful world. Biblical references to feet often signify whether life choices were made with sound contemplation and discernment. In The Shack, the novel, but not the film, there is a scene where Jesus washes the feet of Papa. The perpetrator is believed to have washed their feet shortly after the homicides, mirroring the actions and instructions of Jesus. Press conferences have been used by law enforcement for many years as a way to initiate communication with unidentified suspects. You may remember this infamous press conference given by District Attorney Alex Hunter, February 13, 1997, regarding the murder of John Bennett Ramsey. The press conference had a similar tone as the Delphi press conference.
I want to say something to the persons that took this baby from us. The list of suspects narrows. Soon there will be no one on the list but you.
The words had been written by the FBI.
Both were crafted by behavioral profilers to speak directly to the killer. Shortly after Alex Hunter's press conference, one of the main suspects in the John Bennett Ramsey case, a man named Michael Helgoth, committed suicide. Some believe Helgoth may have been murdered by someone he committed the crime with. In 1978, during the peak of the BTK murders in Wichita, Kansas, TV station KAKE placed a subliminal message in a television interview with Wichita Chief of Police in an effort to get BTK to turn himself in. The subliminal message included the text, "Now call the chief," as well as a pair of glasses. The glasses were included because at one of the crime scenes, a pair of glasses were found. This attempt to catch BTK using subliminal messaging was unsuccessful. On April 9th, 2021, Cheryl McCollum wrote this article for Crime Online. In the article, Robert Ives was interviewed and made the comment that the signatures were non-secular in nature. Shortly after the article was released, a statement from Ives started gaining public attention. Robert Ives' comment disappeared and was then replaced with the less specific comment, "Many sources I spoke with directly saw the comment before it was scrubbed from the internet. It was also written about by many people who saw it." Non-secular signatures would be considered signatures involving religious or spiritual matters. April 22nd, 2019, the Monday after Easter, Indiana State Police announced the new direction in the case and the younger sketch. On April 5th, 2021, the Monday after Easter, $100,000 was donated anonymously to the Delphi Murders Reward Fund. Could this just be a coincidence? Easter Monday was when Jesus rose from the dead. The Catholic Church celebrates what they call Monday of the Angel. With the recent $100,000 Easter donation, there has been much speculation on social media discussing a popular youth pastor as a possible person of interest. Pastor M is the youth director at a Delphi church. The February 22nd, 2017 press conference was held at his church. Pastor M did the audio-visual for the event. On the day of the murders, the Delphi police scanner read off the license plate number of a van that was seen in the area. This van belonged to a church member who was out of town at the time. Pastor M is rumored to be the driver of the van on February 13th, 2017. This church member is now his son-in-law. Pastor M was also a part of the search party. You can see he does resemble the second sketch. He has reddish hair, similar height and weight to Bridge Guy, as well as a similar voice. Pastor M does also have a similar gait. His right foot points outward when walking, similar to Bridge Guy. Pastor M was clean-shaven and had light brown hair that swept across his forehead with a cowlick and a goatee. The day after the murders, he grew out a large, multicolored, ZZ Top, Amish-style beard. Changes in appearance were one of the FBI's behavioral indicators to look for. Pastor M also had intimate knowledge of the area surrounding Deer Creek. Here he is performing a youth baptism in Deer Creek, just feet away from the crime scene. As you can see, when performing a baptism, the person being baptized is asked to fold their hands crossed in front of their bodies, the same way Abby was posed, according to the leaked texts of David Erskine. This is often called a coffin or death pose. Pastor M was seen by numerous witnesses hiking the trails and woods in the area in the days and weeks leading up to the murders. From the crime scene, it's possible to get back to the pastor's neighborhood on foot. Abigail Williams was friends with the pastor on Instagram. This is all the time we have for this week, my dear friends. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. This episode would not have been possible without the nutrition and sustenance that True Crime Jesus receives from his favorite heavenly treat, Ben & Jerry's Chocolate Therapy Ice Cream. Chocolate Therapy Ice Cream is a magnificent concoction of chocolate ice cream, chocolate cookies, and delicious swirls of chocolate pudding. Eating this ice cream will help you solve crime, just like True Crime Jesus. Some of the greatest minds in true crime owe their success to Ben & Jerry's Chocolate Therapy Ice Cream. These include Dog the Bounty Hunter, Keith Morrison from Dateline, Vinnie Politan from Court TV. Even Johnny Cochran enjoys a good tub of chocolate therapy. So until next time, my dear friends, this is True Crime Jesus, signing off.